Hey everybody. Sounds like the dogs needed to defend us right as I got online. This is Seth from Synchronicity. It's been a little humid outside today. Uh, Welcome to our Tuesday tea, where we're talking about all things that are going on at Synchronicity and answering your questions. Anything related to the stuff in Synchronicity, metaphysical stuff going on in the shop, readings, tarot readings, human design reading, candle dressing, all the stuff that goes on there. I'm here to answer questions about either how we do it, how you can do it, what you might want to learn about how to do things, what our classes are, anything like that. So if you've got questions for me, it sounds like Kasha's really mad I'm up here by myself and she doesn't get to be up here. If you got questions for me, drop them in the chat. I'm also going to, because this has become a thing, I'm going to pull a card for us. Since it is only Tuesday, kind of take a look at energy for our week, and I'll also take a look at the human design, like the number for today related to the human design, and we'll see kind of what that's got going on. And while I'm doing that, what I'm pointing at right now is the chat window. Go ahead and drop in whatever questions you got for me in that chat window. All right. Here we go. Here's our card for the week, Four Swords. I think the Four Swords is an interesting experience. And for those of you that are learning tarot or might be familiar with the Light Seers deck, this is the Light Seers tarot. It doesn't look a lot like the Four Swords that we see in a Rider-Waite deck. Definitely doesn't look a lot like the Four Swords that we'd see in a Marseille, and certainly different than the one we'd see in a Thoth. So the experience here is a bit relative to what we might see in a Rider-Waite, because Rider-Waite we see a sarcophagus and a church scene, and that church scene is actually really a crypt. It's not actually a church, and it often gets associated with rust because we see the crypt and we assume, well, they're dead, they're finally resting. Well, because it's in this crypt and it is this religious sacred space, it's actually a place where knights would go to pray before battle. So the image that you're seeing isn't one of rest. It's actually the view that a knight would have of a king that they were asking, they were honoring and asking for support from before, like the night before they went into battle. So yeah, we did have this one recently. I can't remember if it was last week or not, but that's the Four Swords in the Rider. And this one we have, I think it was last week. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pointy bits from this nest. They're pretty sharp. In this deck, swords are usually represented by crows and string, and you can see the string that the crows would have left here. It's hard to do this backwards. In the image. So what's the Four Swords bringing us this week then? If it is truly a continuation from last week, the addition is how have we incorporated the lessons that we've learned, the acceptance that's here, the experience that we can now move forward into how we observe and make decisions. That's really the experience of the Four Swords as we prepare for something and continue to build. And for those of you who are in class, besides air being a thing, thoughts, how we're preparing, how we're thinking, for foundation, that square, the sturdiness, which is why this is like a preparation for. That's where that's coming from, or at least part of it. the rest of it is the image and the response. So if you're new here and you haven't experienced this before, it's an opportunity to ask me questions relative to metaphysical stuff, what's going on in the shop, things that are happening. If you have questions, and I have tons of answers, I just don't remember what I know until you ask me. So please ask me. Um, Other things that are going on this week. Oh, I wanted to look up the human design number too. I'm going to look that up. Let me get my phone. Other things that are going on this week. Maggie's rune class, the first of 4, starts tomorrow night. And when is that? Oh, I had this whole list of things I wanted to remember to talk about today, and it's by my desk at the shop, which is, the perfect place for it right now. It's at 6:30, so her class will start. The shop closes at 7. It'll start shortly before the shop closes, and end a little bit after it closes. But the till will be open in case there's something you need to pick up afterwards. Also, Maggie is really adept at creating her own runes, like building a rune set. And we've talked a lot about, if you're joining this class, how that might be something that's available to you in a way that it might not be available to everyone else. So if you're interested, let us know, and certainly sign up for the class before tomorrow, so that she knows to show up for you. Otherwise, if no one signed up, she might not know to come. Has anyone learned runes before, or had an interest in learning runes? Also, tomorrow, Vanessa's reading tomorrow, but it looks like she's gotten fully booked. So she's starting to book weeks out now. So if you want to spend time with Vanessa, then I highly recommend jumping on worthsynchronicity.com in order to book your appointment. Let me that's the link for Vanessa. I have a set. I told myself I'd learn, then they went to die in a drawer. Jillian, now's the time. Now is the time. Maggie's been reading runes for a long time. In fact, runes were her primary introduction to divination before she got into tarot and other modalities. So they're, excuse me, they're near and dear to her heart, and she loves working with them and talking about them. So I'm looking forward to the class. I think it's going to be really great. She also, if for those of you who might remember when Mark was working in the shop, um, who is also an astute rune reader, she learned a lot of her rune reading from Mark as well. Super interested. I have an appointment every other week at the same time. Wish she was doing it on the opposite weeks. Yeah. Well, maybe you'll get the second round. She's going to do them in I don't even know how to pronounce this, the Ayats. So you'll learn the first ayat, the second, and then the third. And then there is a practicum where you get together and practice reading and read with each other. Hey, Bridget, what could what mean? I'm not following you. We were talking about rune class. Maggie's going to be teaching a class on runes. I got one more thing I want to make sure I copy. And what else? So that's runes. Then Vanessa, and I'm sorry, my text was too long. Oh, whatever you pasted didn't show up. Then on Friday, we've got our summer school tarot class, which is preparing to read and how to ask questions of the tarot, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. Like, how do you ask questions and get really great answers when you're working with tarot? So, if you've been reading tarot for a little bit and you're exploring new ways to get deeper answers or to get more accurate in your readings, this Friday, where we're talking about how to prepare to read and how to ask questions, I think is a great class. I've had a reading by two different people to connect with my late father. They both brought up trains. What could that mean? Was there any other context about the trains? Like, were they sitting? Were they running? Were they in a station? Were they, you know, sometimes context can make a difference. Uh, Trains in general are things that tend to have motion. We see them as tools that move things from one place to another. We both do not have any connection with trains. No. No, they weren't moving. There was just I don't know what your no means. They were just stationary trains in the station. No elaboration. So they just brought up trains in general. Okay. So if you have a chance to follow up with them, I would ask them more like what about the train, because I'd want to know, was it moving? Was it still? Was it a train from the 1800s? Was it a like super speed train from Japan? What kind of train was it, and what was it doing? Um, I understand you say you don't have a connection, either you or your father don't have a connection to trains, um, but usually, trains in general have that kind of association. People movement, industrialization, building something new, transportation, trips, um, and freight. So the the other thing, so the way mediumship tends to work for me, if images like that come up, if it doesn't mean something to the person across from me, i.e., it doesn't have an association with you or your father, like you had said, then the next question is, well, what does it mean to me as the reader? Because it's a symbol that's being given to me either to um, establish for you the legitimacy of the person they're talking to, or it's a symbol for me to get a message across, and that's the language they're able to use. So it, that's why I asked more about, like, what's the train doing? Where is it? What does it look like? Because it would tell me more. I was thinking he was trying to tell me I'm on the wrong track. Is that how he would normally speak? Would he say, "You're on the wrong track"? Because if that's how he would normally speak, then I would trust your intuition there. If he wouldn't normally use that turn of phrase, that can be. Do you still have access to the people who did the readings for you? Yeah. So here's another idea. I keep feeling like I have something stuck in my throat. Here's another idea. Um, if that's something that he would have said, and you don't have to force it, you don't have to like make it fit, but if that's something he would have said, how long ago did he pass? Was it recent? Sometimes there is an understanding or a belief that, um, oh, from David, from the shop, David, or I guess from my shop, David. um, the the thing, I would go back and ask him. And in fact, great. So if he gave you any contact information, I would go back and ask him. If he didn't, then because I don't know, it would be, I'm not at this shop right now. It would be great if you could send me a message outside of here so that I could find your account. I could follow up with him and ask him if he remembers anything. And then he's great. Because after the moment's over, it might be gone, especially if it's been some time. And he's shared this part that I'm about to tell you. He shared this part with me that sometimes when people have passed, in the immediacy of their passing, they don't have the tools yet to know how to communicate between where they are and where we are. So sometimes it's really hard to get words out or language, but passing along an image is easier. And maybe the only way he could say you're on the wrong track, especially if that was a phrase that he would have said regularly, is was to show you a train on a track, you know. Yeah, that we all anybody who's doing mediumship work, we all work a little bit differently. So one version of what I explained is how I work. It's an image for you, or it's an image for me. How I know David works is that's an image he's been giving that is part of the story, and it'll have some sort of association. We just have to find it, and it may very well be that it was words, or I mean, if you're sure it was your dad, it could have been somebody else coming through that was sharing the train thing too. But he's pretty be- between talking to you and what's coming through, he's usually pretty clear about this is someone different, if in fact it was. Good. Yeah, every reader at the shop, whether it's me, David, and by the way, David spells his name with an E. So Um, he likes to say you've been Daved if you get a reading with him, but he spells his name with an E. Um, oh, look at it, corrected it after I sent it. I sent it. It keeps correcting it after I send it. So when you reached out, in case you threw that I in there, now you knew. um, I don't know why YouTube keeps fixing the spelling after I did it that way on purpose. Um, so the sooner you follow up with us, the more we'll remember, because the reading that we just did isn't meant for us to keep. It's not meant for us to hold on to. When it comes through, it goes to you and it is given, and then it is done. Sometimes even in the moment, it might be that we forget, or you'll come back 6 months later and go, hey, remember when we talked about, like, nah, I really don't. I might have a soft memory, but the details will be lost. So the sooner you can follow up, the better, so that we can provide any additional insight that might be necessary. And it is also, by the way, not an inconvenience for anyone. Everyone wants to make sure they are a tool that's meant to help you find less stress and more ease in the world. Um, if you choose to work with human design and work with your design, your life will be forever changed. It can't help but be. And it is one of my favorite tools to use. It's kind of like tarot. It's going to be a lifetime of learning, and it's an amalgamation of a lot of different information, but it's really cool. And I think it is one of the best tools as a sister to astrology, but nothing like astrology, to help uh, you find the truest version of how you work, and to release the things that no longer serve you and hang on to the things that you've learned that do, even if maybe they're not naturally yours to carry. Uh, Today is a 6 day. What does that mean? When we have 6 days, things are naturally observational. They are naturally something that will be. That's a really powerful place to be. I think it also asks us to engage with other people, which can sometimes be challenging, but also it creates moments of compassion, especially if there's been some disharmony. Now we can figure out how to work through things. And I'm curious, as I talk through these, maybe you'll notice that you had moments like this during your day today. 6 also asks us to be positive, to embrace that attitude, and to kind of be infectious in that positivity or optimism. It doesn't have to be toxic positivity. Just kind of, you know what, I think things might actually work out, and that uplifts others around you, going along with that theme of compassion and empathy. 6 also asks us to get not get clear on our project so much, but put the pieces together that will be one step towards the goal. And that's one of the biggest things I advocate about right now is uh, just getting one step forward. The more you can take one step forward, the better. It takes out the overwhelm of all the other stuff. 6 also asks us to support other people and to be encouraging to them. Not like not purposefully, you're not going and hounding someone and being like, hey, how can I help you? Let me do this thing. I see you need this. No, if there is a moment where your wisdom is needed, offer it. If there's a moment where you realize you can have a greater impact, take the moment. 6 is pretty powerful. And it's a it's an incredible point of view, especially those who are born with 6 in their design. They're just a special breed. They're kind of set aside and above the rest, where they go through intense experiences. They observe a lot, and by the time they're 50, people think they know everything. Have you ever known anybody like that? That's what 6s are like. Uh, there's something I post online every once in a while. I'll post what these numbers mean, and there's an affirmation I have for 6. It sounds like this is what it is: I lead with grace and positivity. I create harmony, inspire others through my actions and support. And you can use both, or use one or the other. I lead with grace and positivity. I create harmony and inspire others through my actions and support. So 6 is a pretty powerful day. And I'm curious, as we get close to wrapping this up, did you experience any of those things during the day today? And if human design is something that's of interest to you, or you'd like to understand how it can better help or support you, then you can always jump over at weresynchronicity.com and read more about human design. You can also get your free chart there, and you can go down the rabbit hole of what does this chart mean, or you can sit with me and have a reading. We've got lots of different options. You can also join Synchronicity Circle, which is a link I just dropped in the chat. The Circle is a way where you can get ongoing support as you work with your design and experiment with your design through different aspects of your life, whether it's personal, familial, professional, and it has different levels depending on what kind of engagement you want. Where there's one-on-one time with me and a live, what do you call it, thing like this, like a meeting, a Zoom meeting where we get together and hold each other accountable and just kind of check in. And there's also an email that goes out at the beginning of every month that kind of gives you the celestial weather and how the planets are aligning and how that sits through human design, as well as uh, additional guidance along the way, especially if you're in that top tier. You get 30 minutes with me every month where we just kind of sit and talk about your progress in your design. So, any questions about that 6 or anything else I can answer before we wrap it up for this Tuesday evening? I was looking to see if I can show you what these guys look like, the puppies, but I don't think I can. Oh, wait, I can. I think I can share my screen. Let me find a picture of them really quick. I've never done this before, so I don't know if it's going to work or not. So we're going to try. Let me search for Roscoe. There we go. Roscoe had an infection on his foot recently. He wasn't feeling very good about it. Let's see. No, Steve is watching something downstairs, and the music got loud. Why are you trying to record this system? Choose what audio to share with YouTube. Okay, I can't figure out how to share it. Break-in? I have no idea. I don't know what it is. So, oh wait, you know what I can do? Hold on. That's my big guy. He's having a soak because we had to break down the infection or the yeast infection that was on his toes. And our baby girl, Kasha, that's her, giving me the business. And her brother. Yeah, he's feeling better now, though. It's gotten a lot better. If you know how they get that little pink between their paws or underneath, and it can get yeast infection, his ended up turning into a yeast infection, and I soaked it in Epsom salt and betadine, like a mixture, and then after that, I would do a swipe of it, of a cotton ball that I had soaked in tea and apple cider vinegar. So it wasn't soaking in the vinegar, it wasn't soaking in the tea, although it could have soaked in the tea, it would have been fine. But the tea and the vinegar helped the yeast dry out and restore the pH balance. And once that was better, then the irritation started going down, and now his fur is starting to grow back, and he's all good. So we just had to do a little home remedy, and he was fine. But they're big. Their paws get a little sweaty, and things get in there, and you got to take care of their paws. All right, everybody. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you all in the shop soon. And again, if you're watching this, you haven't followed, please subscribe so you can keep track of what's going on over here. I'm getting ready to do a host of new videos. Also, hit that reminder button so that you can get reminded when I'm online. I love to share what's going on at the shop and what I am starting to see and learn about as things continue to roll. So I'd love to share more with you and have you know when it's going on. Okay? Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a good Tuesday night, and I'll see you all later.